Hey, what's happening, guys? Good morning. Merry Christmas, everybody. It is Christmas Eve. Christmas Day is tomorrow, and the new year, 2023, is just a week away. I think this is kind of the, I don't mean to be too negative on Christmas Eve, but I think this is kind of the calm before the storm. I think a lot of people are kind of tuning out of a lot of the economic problems going on. I think people are kind of choosing to forget about their own economic predicaments, their own financial situations, and just kind of want to enjoy the holidays with family and friends. And then kind of once the new year's here, things are kind of back to rocking and rolling. Even in workplaces and offices and businesses, you kind of get this lull towards the end of the year. Everybody's kind of in the mood for Christmas. People take more time off around the holidays, and then once the new year comes, that's when new hirings start. That's when a lot of people typically or traditionally would start new jobs, and that's kind of when the year kind of kicks off again. So we're in a little bit of a period of a lull. Now I was talking to my buddy Jay Coppola the other day, and we were kind of talking about. I was asking him what are things looking like on the ground in your area of the country, and he was kind of telling me, restaurants are having a hard time hiring people. I see more young people instead of working at a restaurant or instead of working a retail job, or a lot of these jobs that a lot of us might have worked 10 years ago as teenagers. A lot of people are choosing to do DoorDash, or they're selling things on eBay or Etsy, or they have some kind of side hustle, or they're working in the gig economy. And there's something that nobody's been talking about. So think about all the new jobs and all the new economies that have popped up in the past 5, 10, 15 years, right? Like the term social media influencer, this was not even a thing until about 2016. And in 2020, over $10 billion was spent by corporations on influencer marketing. So that's $10 billion going into the influencer economy. That's $10 billion that are essentially jobs for people, right? Some girl makes a post about a new makeup she tried, and she gets $3,500 for this Instagram post, and that's how she makes her living. And it's not even just influencers. Think about affiliate marketers. Think about social media managers, right? Like that's a new job that's popped up in the past 10 years that never existed before. Companies, brands, and businesses paying somebody to post on Instagram for them, to post on Twitter for them. Content creators, right? Companies paying people to create content on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube. Like all of these jobs didn't even exist 10 years ago. They're pretty big parts of the economy today. And when 50% of restaurants can't pay their rent in November, do you think that maybe they might lay off their social media manager who they pay $300 a week to literally make one post on Instagram? Do you think they might fire that person that they hired a year ago to start building their TikTok profile for them? The companies who are paying $3,500 for a single Instagram post, unless you're dealing with top tier celebrities, there's almost never been an ROI on this, or companies at the very least don't even know how to track if they are seeing an ROI on this. Companies are going to start cutting back on marketing and advertising, and especially a lot of these kind of new age digital media jobs. Again, social media managers, influencers, etc. And that's a whole pool of people who are going to find themselves, they're not employed by somebody, but for all intents and purposes, they're unemployed because what they did to make their money is no longer going to work to make money, or they're not going to be making as much money. And then what did these people spend money on? And, we talk about how everything in the economy trickles down. So that social media influencer, maybe she or he had a video editor who worked for them. If they're not getting deals and they're not getting paid, they're not going to be paying a video editor. So, all these things kind of affect other parts of the economy and trickle through other parts of the economy. And I would really love to hear kind of your guys' thoughts on this. Gary Vee, who I'm not a huge fan of Gary Vee. I used to watch him a couple years ago, but he's been kind of cheering this rallying cry for a long time. And he's been saying, during good times, there's a lot of bloat, there's a lot of easy money, and once things turn bad, all these people making money off Instagram posts and influencer things, and a lot of this is going to dry up. So I'll be curious to see kind of how all this plays out in 2023. One of my clients, I stopped by and visited one of my clients on Friday. So today is Saturday, Christmas Eve. Tomorrow's Christmas Day. Friday wasn't a holiday, right? It was a day before Christmas Eve. I know a lot of companies, let people go home early that day, or give people that day off. But one of my clients who I went to visit, I think they normally have maybe 8 or 10 people working in their warehouse. One person showed up. One person out of 8 or 10 people showed up. And I was talking to Jay Capola about this the other day as well, and we maybe have talked about this on the channel, but what's happening, and I heard Glenn and Cameron talking about this as well, a lot of small business owners are finding that, employees will just not show up for a shift, right? They don't call, they don't show up. You don't know they're not showing up. It kind of really kind of messes up the flow of the day if you're expecting to have 4 servers and you only wind up having 1. And so we're starting to see, people just no call, no show to jobs, and then they'll show up the next day. Now, in the past, people would have been laid off or people would have been fired, but it's so hard to find workers right now that employers are basically just having to, stuff their feelings deep down, put on a smile and be like, oh, good to see you today, Tony. Because, if they try to start busting balls, Tony's going to walk out and he's going to get a new job. And with my client, with the warehouse workers, honestly, they don't pay their warehouse workers that well. These people could probably quit that warehouse, go over and get a job at Amazon, and I'm guessing probably make another $5 to $7 per hour, plus have health insurance. Everybody kind of rags on Amazon, but I got a couple buddies who are working at Amazon right now in the warehouses, and it depends, right? It seems like the sorting centers are better than other areas, but they, and this is true for any low-wage job, any service sector job, any restaurant job, any warehouse job. If your business is not paying better than Amazon or offering better benefits than Amazon, somebody could quit your job tomorrow. Amazon doesn't even interview. You're automatically guaranteed a job if you can pass a drug test, and you pretty much have as many hours as you want. So, the idea that somebody's going to be scared of losing their job if it's not a good paying job, if it doesn't have benefits, they're not going to be scared, right? You fuck with somebody too hard, you ask too much of somebody, they're going to walk out the door and go get a job at Amazon. And Amazon's just one example. Amazon is everywhere. Amazon's really easy to get in with, but everybody is hard up for employees. So somebody will pick them up. They'll have a job the next day. If you ask your employee to work on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, they're going to say, fuck you. They're going to, not show up to work. They're going to go spend a day with their family. They're going to show up the next day, and you can either kind of suck it up and take them back and put a smile on your face, or if you try to bust their balls, they're going to have another job the very next afternoon. And so I think employers, even though the employment market is kind of shifting in favor of employers as opposed to workers, and will continue to do so as layoffs continue, I think these low-wage jobs are where things are going to be the most hard up for hiring. And, I think the employees working in food, hospitality, and retail are still going to have a lot of power for some foreseeable amount of time. Let's see. This is going to be the most expensive Christmas dinner ever. I was actually this year. I've got my girlfriend's family's today, my family's tomorrow. I picked up a couple bottles of wine. I had to. I'm responsible for an appetizer at each one of these parties. I've been baking bread lately, so I got to bake some bread, and I got to bring a salad. And even just bringing a couple sides and an appetizer cost me over $80. It was. To prepare some of these appetizers and make some of these salads, I was buying things that I don't necessarily buy on a regular basis. And I could tell there was a jump in prices from previous years to this year's. I make this one appetizer. And if you guys are looking for an appetizer idea, people will love this one, and it's super easy. You get some wonton wrappers, you get some hard salami. You roll up the salami into wonton wrappers, roll a little joint with it, or make a little roll up with it. Put a toothpick through it, pop them in the oven at 350 or 400 for 15 or 20 minutes. The fat and grease from the salami kind of crisps up the wonton. It's really good. You dip it in a deli mustard or a Dijon mustard. Really, really tasty. Super easy to make. Everybody's going to love it. So that's one of my appetizers. But wonton wrappers were $7 or $8 for a pack. And I feel like, last year when I made this appetizer, it was probably $2 or $3. Google has warned employees that they're cracking down on productivity next year. They said more people will get low performance ratings and maybe let go. Remote workers are the group who fears getting laid off the most. I think a lot of them, this isn't true of everybody, but I think a lot of remote workers kind of slack. We're coming to a point when companies are going to have to be more efficient. You see a lot of companies calling people back into the office. Salesforce, a company who really touted the benefits of remote work and how great it is now saying creativity and collaboration and cooperation in a team environment is better in person, and they're calling everybody back into the office. I think you're going to see more companies do this in 2023, especially since I think a lot of places were worried about a Mexican beer cough wave hitting this past fall. It clearly didn't hit, and I think companies will feel safer bringing people back into the office. A lot of companies still have office leases with 5, 7, 8, 9 years left on them. And I think these companies are going to want to get people back into the office. Tyson Foods, who I believe they're headquartered in Arkansas, but they had, some decent sized offices in Chicago. They relocated these offices to Arkansas. Almost nobody took the offer and moved out there. I noticed a lot of people from Chicago have this attitude like, oh, Arkansas is a bunch of hillbillies. That town in Arkansas where Walmart is located, you're getting all of Walmart's suppliers, and all these companies are kind of migrating out there. And it's actually a very, very nice area, but people still seem to think that Arkansas is this backwards area. One thing I see about Chicago, especially in like Chicago forums, there's a Chicago subreddit, is people are really burying their head in the sand. Over the past year, all of these companies have left Chicago. I forget all of them off the top of my head, but investment companies, Caterpillar, Tyson, and in like the Chicago subreddit, I see people like, oh, not a big loss. They're capitalists, and they're just trying to save money. And Arkansas is trash. I would never move to Arkansas. And everybody kind of poo-poos it like it's not a loss to Chicago. But unemployment is Illinois' unemployment is the second highest in the nation, and there's a reason Chicago and other blue cities are losing companies and are losing jobs. Japan's inflation hits a 40-year high. The head of Germany's economic advisory says inflation will last at least another 2 years. One thing that we've seen consumers still buying, even though they're starting to cut back on other areas, is luxury or high-end booze and spirits. I've always been kind of a last-minute shopper. I'm always running out to get things, the days leading up till Christmas and even 2 days before Christmas, Christmas Eve. And normally it's a madhouse. Normally I'm like, oh, why did I wait till the last minute? And this year I'm not really seeing anybody out and about. Now, we could blame that partially on the quote-unquote blizzard of the century that's sweeping the nation. I said I thought it was kind of weird. It is cold as shit. Like, my heater in my house can't keep up with the cold outside. We got a space heater going. I was even running the oven. I know you're not supposed to do that, but I was even running the oven to get some extra heat. A buddy of mine, his pipes froze. So, I mean, it is cold. It is chilly. But there's only 2 to 5 inches of snow. So is that keeping some people in? Yeah, but I almost feel like this blizzard is being hyped up to explain why people aren't shopping and aren't traveling this year. Sam Bankman-Fried's girlfriend, Caroline Ellison, we know that she snitched on SBF. She and Gary Wang both took pleas. It's really interesting how quickly that moved. Apparently, those pleas were sealed until they could get SBF back into the U.S. He is out on bond, has to stay at his parents' house, $250 million, which is weird because he initially said he only had $100,000 left, and now he's able to come up with $250 million. It's also weird that the government is letting him basically use money he stole as bond. Drug dealers typically aren't given that privilege. I saw Lindsey Graham, Republican senator, congressman, whoever he is, he said someone must take out Putin to end this war. It's really weird that the Republicans and Democrats don't want to work together on anything, but they want to work together on Ukraine. That's really weird to me. I saw the former head of HUD, or Housing and Urban Development, who obviously knows how the government works, knows how the government runs, is in charge of a lot of these government programs and a lot of money. She said there are no parties. There's no red and blue. There's no right and left. There is simply corruption, and I think that's actually what's happening in Ukraine. A whole lot of corruption, a whole lot of money going to the defense industry, a whole lot of money getting kicked back to politicians. We've also learned that avocado prices have fallen. Now us millennials can enjoy our avocado toast a bit cheaper. Russia is reportedly close to legalizing Bitcoin as a means of trade. November has suffered the biggest home sales crash in history, down 35.5% since last November. This is big news, actually. The IRS has delayed the $600 reporting rule for gig workers and payment platforms like PayPal. Not really, kind of surprised to see this happen. The Republicans had been putting forward some bill called the get your damn nosy noses out of people's payments bill or something like that. No lie, it's literally was called something like that. The Republicans were trying to repeal the law and go back to 200 transactions and $20,000. I think Democrats were trying to make it $5,000 instead of $600. But it seems like there's been a lot of kickback against this bill. It's really kind of silly that at a time when inflation is higher than ever, people are just trying to scrape by. You're really trying to kind of get water out of a stone, so to speak. You're really going after the little guy. This whole thing was done to, quote unquote, go after billionaires and make sure billionaires pay their fair share. And we're going after people making $600 cutting hair or selling used Xboxes or whatever else. So at least that's put off until next year. There's kind of this talking point being pushed by the media that Zelensky is like Winston Churchill. Let's see, kidults. We've been talking about kidults. 25. This is kind of crazy, right? So we heard about how young adults are spending more money on toys, and they're kind of propping up the toy industry. Apparently 25% of all toy sales are like grown-ass men Redditors buying Funko Pops. That's pretty crazy, especially during a time when people are struggling and so many people are living at home and they're spending all their money on toys. Let's see, this year, Christmas bonuses are getting cut by a lot of companies. Instead, people are getting either nothing. If you're lucky, you might get a pizza party. Woohoo! You know, I was planning on a couple $1,000 bonus to, pay off my holiday credit card debt, but I guess Little Caesars is good too. Instead of bonuses, people are getting pizza parties, thank you cards, and small gift cards to Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, something like that. China has estimated that 37 million people are getting the beer cough per day. Obviously, they've gotten rid of their zero COVID policy. Although people are still fearful, and now they're not even being kept in their homes by the government. They're just scared to leave their homes. Apparently, yesterday we had 5,000 flights canceled. I may have touched on this the other day, but if you guys seen that automated McDonald's in Texas, check out, search automated McDonald's or Texas McDonald's. And on either like Twitter or TikTok, you'll see this fully automated McDonald's. And, I know we say a lot of people don't want retail jobs. A lot of people don't want hospitality jobs, fast food jobs, service sector jobs. And soon enough, those jobs aren't going to exist because robots are going to be doing them. We have this McDonald's that can probably run with 1 or 2 people. I know White Castle has been testing out something called, what is he called, Flippy? He can flip burgers and make fries. So a lot of these service sector jobs that nobody wants, but that people may go running to during an economic downturn, during layoffs, during a recession. These jobs may not be there when people need them. And then lastly, ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, has admitted to catching employees spying on journalists and tracking the locations and movements of journalists. And this is kind of, we've been seeing this growing movement against TikTok. Republicans and Democrats in Congress and the Senate are pushing forward bills to ban TikTok. A number of states are suing TikTok, and a number of states have banned TikTok on government phones, government computers, and government devices. So that is the news today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button down below and ring the bell. Again, if you enjoyed the video, thumbs up, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts, opinions, and comments, so drop a comment down below. That's all I got for you guys today. I'll try to knock out a video tomorrow for Christmas, but if I don't happen to see you guys then, I'll see you guys the day after. Peace. Later.